All right, so this is what we got. One of the cool things about PowerShell is that it's got something called modules, things you can plug in to manipulate and do other things that you've got to do with. All right, so this makes using Windows PowerShell tons easier than using Linux scripting because you can actually plug and play, right? You can bring in little things that come along the way. So out here at TechNet, they have like the most popular PowerShell modules listing. These are things that you guys can go ahead and play with and do and all the rest of it. And as we get into Active Directory, we'll actually play around with this module as well. So I'll give you a link to all this. But this is the first time you guys have ever installed a module in PowerShell. So it's tricky. Okay? So when I went through and I did everything yesterday, I actually did screen caps step by step when I went through putting this thing together. Right? And when I was done, I'd actually gotten to, this is a test, this is the only test, I was actually at the command line, and that's the screen cap of me actually at the command line. So I was actually able to manipulate my Facebook feed at the command line in Windows, which was like honkin' sweet, right? And then ended up that at the end of this, I felt so good about finally getting this thing to go after 3 years that I finally did my favorite victory song, which is always hardcore. All right? Some people will want to play We Are the Champions, My Friend by Queen. Other people have their own victory songs. Mine happens to be always hardcore. So that's kind of where we're at. I can't because of copyright. So this is what we're going to play around with, is the Facebook PowerShell module. All right? So when you download it, it's going to come in as a zip file, and it's going to look like this when you first get it. All right? So it's going to look like a bunch of gork on a screen. And there's a bunch of stuff that we have to do after that. So I'll kind of go through the PowerPoint that I've set up so we can actually do this. So this is how to use PowerShell to manipulate external Facebook accounts. On this, you'll need administrative access to the box that you're running. So you need to be admin when you're doing this. It's not enough to run the program as admin. You literally need to be the administrator of the box. So run your Windows 2008 as administrator. I did this all in Windows 2008 yesterday. The Facebook PowerShell API, Windows PowerShell, and then a Facebook account. If you don't have a Facebook account or you just feel like making a throwaway one for this one, go for it. All right? So you download the Facebook PowerShell API. All right? And remember, this is alpha version code. So some of it's a little bit funky as you get going. All right? It's not fully gelled out, but it's still usable. Then you see you extract it into any directory. I just went ahead and dropped it and kept it into my downloads directory. When you do the install routine, it will actually move it to the right place under Windows 32. And then you just want to go ahead and do the Facebook MSI. Right? Double click on it and install it like any other software you've ever had. And yes, people seem to like my little really wibbly wobbly circle around that. It's called way too much coffee. Okay, I ping on people for Monster energy drinks. Well, here's me on coffee. So it's awesome. All right, so just make sure you do the MSI when you do this. And then again, just install it like anything else that you would do. When you install it, it drops it in all the right places, so you don't need to sweat it later on and wonder where everything went. Right? Note the directory it installs in. All right, because you're going to want this for later. When I installed it on mine, it was users, dmoral, documents, Windows, PowerSearch, PowerShell, blah. Right? So this is where you're going to find the scripts you need to run it. Remember to be administrator of your PC when you do this. Then start up something called Windows PowerShell ISE. Right? So Windows PowerShell ISE, if you go to PowerShell, you should see, if it installed all the way through, you should see something called Windows PowerShell ISE. And ISE is basically a notepad for your Windows scripting. So you can use this like you use TextPad or Notepad or Nano or Pico or Vi to write your scripts to do this. All right? And the cool part is that when you're at the end, you just hit enter and it will try to run it. And if you write your own scripts, you can actually save it off into your directory, and it will always set that link up so that you can just run this script like you would any other PowerShell script. Right? But I just want you guys to be aware that this exists. So this is where you type stuff in. This is where you see all the errors come out. Right? Or you see success or error. When I was trying to run this yesterday as just a normal user on a normal computer, this was all that red blocky stuff that everybody so knew and loved from last week. All right? So just something to be aware of, that this is one way of skinning the cat. When I started going through it, I decided, well, this is really, really cool, And then after about 20 minutes, I abandoned using ISE. But I want you guys to know it's here and it's an option. All right. All right. So you have to do this in kind of 3 steps. You have Windows PowerShell, and then you have what's called Windows PowerShell Sta. Right? And we'll show you how to launch that one off here in a minute. Windows PowerShell Sta is single-threaded mode. Right? Single-threaded application. In other words, it only uses one thread, one line on the CPU, and one spot in memory to run. When you're running normal Windows PowerShell, it's multi-threaded. It will just go and use whatever resources available to it. When you're using the Facebook module, you have to be in single-threaded application mode. Right? Otherwise, it doesn't know what to do with it. It's alpha code. All right? So we have this, and we have all this stuff in our directory. Right? So if you go into Windows PowerShell and just do a quick dir, you'll see everything you've got. All right? Now, before running this, because we have our scripts and it comes out restricted to begin with, we have to set our execution policies unrestricted, right? And again, so just set execution policy unrestricted. It will tell you, do you want to really do this? Oh my God, are you sure? We're all going to die if you say yes. Say yes. Right? And then we'll tell you, okay, we're good. All right? Because you want to make sure you're running all your scripts unrestricted. Because this is a foreign script, this is not a script you wrote, it's not native to the operating system, Microsoft clamps down on this thing, right? A lot like you clamping down on your 2-year-old in the kitchen. This is what Microsoft's going to do to you. All right, PowerShell ISE, you've got that. Now, there's some commands that go along with this. First command you ever want to do with this is you want to initialize a new connection, right? And that's new -FB connection, right? Now, people were asking, why all the caps, right? So this is something called camel notation. And it's really popular in programming language that, because we can't have spaces between, in terms of function names, but we sometimes have long function names, like, oh my God, we're all going to die. Each word has the first letters capitalized. So when they say new, get -FB friend, get Facebook friend. Right? So that's just kind of a notation. It doesn't really mean anything. You can skip them in Windows. You can't in Unix. Right? But just so you kind of know this. First command you're going to do, new FB connection, because this will set up your initial Facebook connection. Right? No, this will log you into Facebook. Right? Hold on. We'll get there. All right? So this is the first thing you do. If you don't do this, the rest of this thing kind of goes down the way. Yep. Get FB friend. This will get a list of friends for the specified user. This user doesn't have to be you. So if I was really, really, really cool and wanted to pull up all my friends that are going to Crypticon on May 24th, I could have pulled up everybody that was going to Crypticon and then harassed them dutifully. Right? So you can retrieve friends of friend lists. You can do just about anything with this get FB friend. So it's really kind of cool what you can do with this, right? You can manipulate a lot of stuff. Get FB album, feed, group, photo, or post, right? So these retrieve classes of information. So if you want to retrieve all your friends' pictures, boom, get FB album or get FB photo. And it works.
Wow.
I downloaded all 186 photos I have on Facebook yesterday, and it was honking funny because I'd forgotten like a whole bunch of them. Like, oh, man, they should have shut me down for that. Delete, 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 delete. All right, get FB event. This is going to retrieve a list of events that either you, your friends, or your groups are going to. Only future events will be retrieved, so nothing in the past. So if you want to find out what Dan's up to, just go down and pull out all my events. And you can find out what a weird places I go and people I see. Kind of interesting, right? It retrieves a list of members of a group. So if you really want to find out who all belongs to some weird honking group like Crypticon, there you go. Pull down the Crypticon group, and you'll have a list of everyone that belongs there. Or say that they like it. Which is even more interesting if you come across some of these weird groups like Westboro Baptist Church or, you know, Amy's Baking Company over the last week. If you ever saw that meltdown, this is the best social media meltdown you will ever see in your entire life. It's awesome, right? Associations are even more fun. Who's associated with Dan? And then what do they do? And then what do they believe? So you can pull out friends, friends of friends, groups. You can find out who's affiliated, who's associated, who likes my comic book page, Who likes my photography page? Right? So these associations are really kind of cool, and the good part is that when you're done, you can drop all this stuff into a comma delimited file and then put it into a big database and call it data mining for truth, justice, and the American way. Right? So I thought this was really kind of interesting. Associations are always interesting. Right? Object data retrieves data about a specific object. So if I posted up a picture and you wanted to know the metadata that went with that picture, you can actually pull just that metadata down. Right? So all the GPS, all the time, all the frame rates, everything else that had to do with the camera. Yes, sir?
When it pulls down data, does it randomly pull down, or does it pull it down so you can actually know what it's saying?
It pulls it down so you can know what it's saying. And I'll show you what that looks like here in a minute. All right? So it returns a single object with parameters. Right? And that's all the parameters that go with that. Right? Then you can actually add to the field's parameters. So if you want to know something specific, like the GPS coordinates of that picture or that video, and they're included in there, you can just pull down all the GPS coordinates and then drop that into Google Maps, and you can find out where all these pictures were taken. It's honking awesome. All right, then you can also add bulk photos. So if you're in there and you're mucking about with your friend's Facebook account, bulk photo a bunch of stupid cat pictures into their account, and life can be awesome. Right? So the cool part is that you guys have already done a keystroke locker, and it'd be really easy to capture a Facebook login. And then you could actually just go ahead and capture the keystroke as they go to their Facebook account, and then automatically upload through this FB add bulk photos, upload a bunch of stuff to their screen the minute they log in. So fun and joy that you can do with your children at home. All right?
Technically, that would be illegal, wouldn't it?
Technically, yeah. All right. So add bulk photos, and then you can read, add. You can also delete photos, which is kind of fun. You can make a new FB post. You can create new posts on a user's Facebook page, which is kind of fun. And you guys saw that was the one I showed you yesterday, was add post.
You could probably obviously automate this at time.
Yeah, you could just automate the bejesus out of this and have a good time with it. So the potential for evil is here. Potential for evil is really at that whole moral quandary level of things. Do I or do I not? Will I get caught? Won't I get caught? Is really more of the real question that we're going to be asking ourselves as we go through this. What are my chances of getting caught? You can create new events in people's names. You can also invite everybody that they know to this fictitious event, like here's my house party on this Saturday night, and invite everybody that you know. Upload photos from your computer. Again, there's a bunch of different ways. You can either do single or bulk, right? Bulk is much more entertaining because you can just drop an entire pictures directory into their Facebook account and let it go. And then you can show message dialogue. This will help send bulk Facebook messages, right? But you can use this command to send messages up to groups of 50 recipients, so you can kind of have some fun with this, right? So 50 is better than none. It's a limitation of the API. Yes, sir? You can do things as long as you have someone else's credentials, or they're a friend or they're associate. Because the way Facebook works is that if I do something under the name of Dan, but I'm friends with Tom, I can put stuff on Tom's timeline that looks like it came from Dan. Right? So if you have 5,000 Facebook friends, you can send 5,000 individual messages with individual happy cat pictures all the way through, just rate limited out to 1 per minute, and you're pretty much so good to go. So if you're a Power Facebook user, you can really have some fun with this. Or you have friends that are Power Facebook users. All right? You can back up all your friends, pull them down as a table, and then go ahead and drop those into a database, right? You can also analyze the file or use import CSV, compare object to monitor changes of your friends list over time. You can see who's come and who's gone. All right? And then if they've left you, you can go, why did you abandon me on Facebook? Those messages are always fun. I thought we were friends. I thought you loved me. What about our children? Right? Get FE events from feed. This can read all the events of the event feed for a specific user, which is also kind of fun. Right? I use this for finding events belonging to a specific group. Because I do a lot of photography, it's really easy to find specific photography groups here in Seattle and find out all the events they're doing. And I get a really quick update on those. And then you can also RSVP for someone, saying, I'm going. For someone. Right? So if they're having a flower arranging and cotton candy meeting, you can RSVP, I'm going to every single one of these.
So by rationale, you could actually set up the baking thing and then send out the invites to all of the friends, and then have all the friends say, yes, they're going to come, just to freak everybody out.
Yes. you can set up a fake event. You can invite all of your friends, and then you can RSVP. All your friends are going to come to your cotton candy tasting fun all-night party and really just have a good day with it. So yeah, all your friends will love you for this. Right? All right. So here's the first thing you need to do. Once you have it all downloaded and done and ready to go, in regular PowerShell with the blue screen behind it, right? Because you kind of have to do this in multiple steps, and that was the one thing that was hitching me out yesterday. You do a bunch of stuff in regular PowerShell, then you do stuff in PowerShell single-threaded application mode, right? So in regular PowerShell, you import --module Facebook. And then it will go through, it will show you nothing. And if it did it okay, it will just give you the System32 prompt at the end of it. If it didn't do it okay, it will give you this big, huge, oh my God, red text from death and everything else, right? Now, there's ways to verify the import. And this was also really important because you don't have a feedback that the import was successful. You just know if it failed. So what you can do is you can say, get module list available, and it will tell you all the modules that are installed in your PowerShell, right? Then you get command --module Facebook will tell you all the commands that are available to you, right? So you verify that the import was good, and then you want to make sure that all the Facebook commands are available to you, right?
It was import Facebook.
It was get module, get --module, --list available, right? And then get command --module Facebook, right? So those are kind of the two-step process, and you really do want to do this two-step process, right? Because what I found is that sometimes it was really hard to get the thing to cop over the command list because I didn't import it right and it didn't tell me that it had failed. So this was a really good way of verifying the installation of the module. All right, now in run, start PowerShell in what's called STA mode, single threaded mode, right? Single application thread, right? So just type run and then bring up PowerShell -exe -sta. To be successful, you have to do this next step, right? And it's going to take you to a completely different version of PowerShell, right? And so the nice happy blue screen is going to look just like regular stuff. It's going to look just like anything else you want to do, right? And then you go through the steps again. Set execution policy unrestricted. Yes. Do the import, right? Do all the rest of it. Import the module Facebook, and then type in new --FB connection. And it will drop you here. Now the cool part, All right. So the cool part is that log in to use your Facebook account with owner. That's who I am on the Microsoft box. So all of a sudden, if you see something weird pop up like owner in your Facebook feed, I mean, someone's playing with you. All right. So owner is who this is going to be. All right. And an owner would like to manage all your events, pages, custom field friends, and everything else. Say yes. Say okay. All right. And then what's going to end up happening is it should give you a redirect URI to the person that actually made the program with their access token. It doesn't even have to be you. You're using someone else's access token, which is absolutely honking awesome. So any crimes you may commit is actually going to go to John in law with his access token, not to you. This is good news, right? And with his app ID and then everything else, right? So you're now impersonating someone else.
You're impersonating that person?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Who created the code?
Okay.
Because what did they do that violated most coding standards? Hard-coded their access API token key strings and authorization codes. Yes. We love him for that. Who the heck is this John Wah guy? Darn. What's he doing in my Facebook? All right. Now, just to test this, you want to go post your first test message. So you do new FB feed -message. Oh my God, we're all going to die. It's nuclear warfare for everybody. And this way, you tap all the TSA keywords. Right? And then you just hit enter. Right? And then you should see, if it worked right, if you just hit enter, you should see an ID come up and then a feed ID come up, and then boom, you're done. You've now successfully imported your module, and you've now successfully been able to push a test message up into your Facebook feed. Right? And again, when you do your Facebook feed, it's going to look like this. And you can, if you feel like it, say Sweet Baby Jeebus on this one. You can do whatever you want to do. But it's all there. All right? And, of course, your friends may come back and say, command line, dang, that's hardcore. Which, of course, then leads you to play the always hardcore song. All right? All right. So this is how you set it up and validate it. This is exactly how you want to do it. All right? And then, again, you see you validate it. You're good. You're happy. Now let's have a little bit of fun. Get FB friends. So let's get a list of all my friends. I just think it's interesting that it's Daniel Ha is the first one. Because what does it do? Arranges it by ID number. So lowest ID number first. So Daniel Ha's got the earliest rated Facebook ID number of the whole lot. So he was really kind of early. He's like the 3 millionth person to sign up for Facebook, where the rest of these guys are in like the 50,000, 5 billion or whatever. Right? So you can grab down. Now the good part is you can grab all my user IDs. Does everybody know about the trick with user IDs? You don't know about the user ID trick. Okay, so let me go and grab a pen. So let's say you have someone in your Facebook feed and you don't know what their personalized URL is. You can use their friend ID to go through and take a look at this. So if we don't know, he is 3205241. So if we don't know who that is, we can go 3205241, and we bring up his page. So that's the cool part about the user ID, is that it will translate it over. So if you don't know what their individual page is, just type at the end of the Facebook URL their user ID, and Facebook will automatically translate it right over to their page for you, which is awesome. All right? So that's why these user IDs are really kind of handy. So you're going to want to keep those. All right? So the user ID is the same thing as the regular client ID, so you can kind of go along from here. We're getting there. All right. Now, get a list of friends and export to CSV. Get --FB friend, pipe, export CSV, and drop it to wherever you want to do. Right? I just use fbusers.csv just so I can keep track of what I'm doing here. And then it will dutifully drop that entire file down for you. Winner. Winner. This is what winning looks like, people. After 3 hours, this is what winning looks like. All right? And again, it drops it out to a file. I just dropped it into WordPad so I could actually see it. And again, I had the same thing. ID, name, user ID, number, name, number. Good to go. In plain English, easy to read, easy to suck into a database. I love databases. All right, so this is what you're going to do next. Once you've spent 3 hours and you've played the We Are the Champions song by Queen or Always Hardcore by Scooter, I don't care which one you do, right? Because you will feel very successful once you've got this thing up and running, right? This is what you need to do. Get a list of all your Facebook friends and export to CSV so I can data mine it later. All right. Create a post on Facebook saying hi to your friends via the command line. Don't be surprised if they come back and say, damn, that's hardcore. Which is another excuse to play Always Hardcore by Scooter. I'll play this song for you later. Get FB album and download a pictures list, export to CSV. And I kind of gave you hints, right? So you guys can help it out. So this is what you're going to do is type get FB album pipe export CSV to wherever you want to drop it. Right? Then get all the associations. Now what's going to be kind of interesting though is it's going to go, what kind of association do you want? If you just type in friends, right, that will work. You can type in friends of friends and get all the friends of the friends of the friends of the friends. You can type in public and grab all the public friends that are publicly want to associate with you in public on Facebook. It might be a small list. Right? So if you just see this, type in friends and you'll get all your friends. Right? There only may be one person in the list, and that's your mom. And I'm good with that. All right? Now, get a list of all the events the person is going to and export it as a CSV file. So hint, get FB event. Right? So just find out where they're going so you can stalk them later. Facebook was built for stalking. All right? Then get a list of events from the Facebook feed and export it. Right? So remember, the difference between events and events from feed, right? The events that a person starts and the events that a person's going to. Right? And then back up all your friends. So back up FB friends. You never know when your friends will disappear. You may need a backup of it so you can go back and drop them back into Facebook and make them your friends again, even if they've deleted you. Yes. All right. So it kind of makes sense? All right. So that's the whole 9 yards on this one. So what do you guys think? Is this going to be fun or what? All right. So here's the caveats. Here's one thing I discovered. When you're doing this in Windows 2008, it wants .NET Framework 3.5.1, which comes with your Windows 2008 installation. Just turn on IIS. So when you go into server roles, remember those? All right, just turn on IIS and it will initiate all the .NET 3.5.1 for you. Okay.
Turn on IS.
Server on, because I did this in Windows 2008 Server. Make sure you turn on server roles for IIS.
Okay.
Right? So that was the other only hitch that I got up on this one. So outside of that, if you're doing it in Windows 7, you can skip that whole server role IIS thing, right? Now, I checked all these things as I went through it. I was doing a screen cap step by step on this, right? Pay attention to the detail on this one, all right? Because if you skip a step, you have to go and roll all the way back to square zero, all right? Because you'll probably forget where you missed the step, so it's just easier to start all over again at square zero. Right? So technically, this is due next Friday, right? If you guys are running into a hitch, I can extend this out a week, all right? But now I'm not going to plan on that. I'll just plan on you guys doing this next Friday, right? So I'm going to lecture on Friday, and we'll go over how to do Active Directory, because remember, I'm gone next week, right? So you guys will do Active Directory as well next week, which is why I wanted you to have Windows 2008 Server spun up, because we can just do it all in that one thing. All right? Yes, sir? You sure? You really look like you had a question. No. Okay. Yes, Mike?
So, if you started talking about directions, do I understand correctly? It looked like we begin with this process on slide 17.
Oh, no.
Import module Facebook.
You slide 17. All right, so this tells you where you download it from on slide 3. It goes you through the installation, right? Yeah.
So it started at the beginning.
Yeah, start at the beginning on this one. Starting at the beginning will be awesome.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
You had mentioned Monday about something, if we did not do it, then we would leave our accounts vulnerable. Oh, you didn't undo something? What is it?
It was if you don't lock your computer when you're leaving.
Yeah, if you leave your computer unlocked while you go off for, I'm going to start putting pictures of sheep on people's backgrounds.
Llamas.
I don't
Llamas?
understand.
Huh?
I don't understand. If
Okay.
I leave my computer unlocked when I walk away from my computer and go to the bathroom, or if I leave my computer unlocked when?
All right, if you stand up from your computer and you walk away from your computer to go to the bathroom,
That's what
I'm
you mean.
going to probably notice, and then I'll put a picture of a sheep as your background.
Okay.
All right.
A picture of a llama.
All right. He may put a picture of a llama. If it's a sheep, you know it's me.
I'm going to shape you or llama you.
All right. But outside of that, it's just general good security practice that if you get up and walk away from your computer, to lock the computer.
Okay.
Otherwise, you'll end up with people doing horrible things to your box, and you might get a little upset about that.
Okay.
All right. Any other questions? Are you guys good? Does this look like fun? All right. So, all right. I'll come over there and help you there in a minute. All right. So we good? All right. Carry on smartly. Remember, don't be evil.